Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, colleagues. I'm very pleased to invite you and to welcome you to this first multi-stakeholder informative webinar on the 4th International Conference on Small Island Developing States, or the so-called SIDS4, which will be held next year from 27 to 30 May in Antigua and Barbuda. This webinar is organized by UNDESA and UNNGLS and UNOHR-LLS, who are all supporting stakeholder participation in this conference. My name is Lotta Tähtinen, and I'm the Chief of Outreach and Partnerships branch in the Division for Sustainable Development Goals of UNDESA, which is acting as the conference secretariat. Before we start with our distinguished speakers, let me run through a few housekeeping announcements. Firstly, please note that this webinar is being recorded. The recording and all relevant information will be made available after this event on the conference website and also shared with all registered participants. We would be grateful if all speakers could please keep their microphones muted when not speaking to make sure we don't have interference. Please do use the Q&A box in the Zoom to ask questions or upvote the questions you would like to be addressed. We will be carefully monitoring this Q&A box. And please make sure to also indicate your organization and country when typing in your question. My colleagues who are here with me in the room will be posting relevant links in this chat box during the webinar for your easy access. And finally, if you are on Twitter or X, please tag us using our Twitter account @SUSTDev if you are tweeting during this webinar. So let us now go through quickly the agenda for this webinar. And my colleagues will be putting this on the screen. So we will be hearing remarks from the host country, Antigua and Barbuda, about their vision for this 4th International Conference on SIDS. We will then be hearing from the co-chairs of the preparatory committee that has been established by the General Assembly for the conference, the ambassadors of New Zealand and Maldives, to share their insights about the preparatory process and stakeholder engagement. Then we will share with you some detailed information about the conference itself. And finally, we will go through the special accreditation process for NGOs and other stakeholders in detail, and have also some opportunities for your in-depth questions in this regard. So as you can see, we have a quite full agenda today. And again, please, in the interest of time, do use the chat box for posting your questions and comments. We are going to have a little bit of a change in order in the speakers this morning. So we will start with hearing from the co-chairs of the preparatory committee. So as you know, the General Assembly has established a preparatory committee to take decisions on the organizational, procedural, and substantive aspects of the conference. The co-chairs of the preparatory committee are ambassadors of New Zealand and Maldives, and we are extremely honored to have them here with us today. So let me start by inviting Her Excellency Ambassador Caroline Schwager, Permanent Representative of New Zealand to the United Nations, to make some remarks about the preparatory process. Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. It's our absolute pleasure to be here with all of you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us for this first multi-stakeholder webinar on the 4th International Small Island Conference on Small Island Developing States, which you've heard will be held in Antigua and Barbuda in May next year. We recognise the importance of engaging a broad range of stakeholders around the sustainable development of SIDS, and we're happy to see so many of you here on this webinar. New Zealand and Maldives are honoured to serve as co-chairs for the preparatory committee of the conference that has been established by the General Assembly. The main role of the preparatory committee is to negotiate the draft outcome of the conference. It will also decide on the modalities and format of the conference, including organisation of work, provisional agenda, accreditation of stakeholders, and rules and procedure. The members of the Bureau of the Preparatory Committee are Barbados, Cape Verde, Dominican Republic, Fiji, Italy, Latvia, Maldives, New Zealand, Romania, and Seychelles. In addition, Samoa and Antigua and Barbuda are ex officio members of the Bureau. Since our election as co-chairs earlier this year, we've had a series of meetings, including an organisational session on 30 May to agree on the modalities and format of the conference and its provisional rules of procedure. It has been decided that the conference will be held under the overarching theme of charting the course toward resilient prosperity. It will feature 8 plenary meetings and 5 interactive dialogues. The topics of the 5 interactive dialogues are currently under consideration and will be decided shortly by the Bureau. Over the past few months, preparatory meetings were held at regional and interregional levels to lay the foundation for an ambitious outcome of the conference. New Zealand and Maldives, as co-chairs of the Bureau, participated in all of these meetings and observed SIDS discussions on their priorities and propose solutions for actions at national, regional, and global levels. And now I'm going to pass over to my colleague from Maldives.
Thank you, Ambassador Caroline. So we are, and good morning to everybody. And we are also very happy to see that so many of you have provided inputs to the global online stakeholder consultation for these preparatory meetings. In fact, we were told that there were more than 500 who registered for this meeting alone. So the regional snapshots and summary report that are available online provide the views of stakeholders on key challenges in each region, policy recommendation for SIDS to achieve sustainable development, and messages to the world leaders. Moving forward, we will be working with the Secretariat in devising additional opportunities for consultations with the stakeholders on the SIDS4 outcome document. We expect a 0 draft outcome document to be circulated to the member states in December. We aim to make this draft available to all stakeholders, as well as intend to work with the Secretariat on appropriate avenues to compile inputs from interested stakeholders. The preparatory committee will then convene 2 formal sessions in 2024 to negotiate inter alia the draft outcome document of the conference. The preparatory committee will convene from 22nd to 26th of January 2024 and from 1st to 5th of April at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Information about the stakeholders' participation will be shared in due time. As co-chairs, we also intend to have other informal meetings so that our document is that will go into SIDS conference will be forward-focused, forward-looking, and action-oriented. The agreed outcome document will be adopted at the conference as the new program of action for SIDS. We attach great importance to stakeholder participation throughout the preparatory process as well as the conference itself. And we hope this first webinar provides you with relevant information to plan and prepare for your engagement. We look forward to your active participation. I thank you.
Thank you very much to the ambassadors of New Zealand and Maldives for walking us through the preparatory committee work for the conference. And let me pause for just a moment. We will, in just a minute, hear from the permanent representative of Antigua and Barbuda, who has just joined us as the host of this milestone conference to provide us his vision and the host's vision for this event. So, Ambassador Webson, may I invite you to take the floor?
Thank you very much, Louis. Colleagues, thank you very much and good morning to those online, maybe good evening and so on. It's really a pleasure. It's really a pleasure to share the host's vision of the conference. As we all know, the conference is set for Antigua and Barbuda, and it's set for the month of May 27th to 30th, 2024. And the conference is, we are all keenly looking forward. Our expectation is that this would be a very important conference at a very important time in the lives of SIDS. We are expecting to have similar numbers to previous conferences, 3,000-4,000 people or so, including member states, leaders, civil society, partners, etc., etc. We would like this conference to build on previous conferences, but we'd like this conference to be a difference in that this conference, we believe, should be action-oriented and would shape the future of the lives of persons living in small island developing states, with specific emphasis of addressing the main issues of climate, the issues of our vulnerability as it relates to not just climate, but also the economic vulnerabilities that we currently face, issues relating to the social challenges that we face, including health and youth development, and issues relating to the general state of small islands and trying to find action, response, answers to overcome our challenges. We expect that out of the conference will come some concrete actions for moving us forward. Inclusive in that is a center of excellence that Antigua and Barbuda has proposed, and the government of Antigua and Barbuda, working with a foundation, would propose and would work on the issues in the center of excellence, on the issues of developing a global data hub for small islands to begin to address our challenge on data, which is a major challenge for all of us as small islands, so that we can have quality data to guide policy, to guide development, and to respond to the many issues that we face in trying to be integrated fully in the global community. The data hub will also include a technology bank, as well as technology and innovation, let's put it that way. And we expect that this center of excellence to work closely with universities, institutions in small islands, and governments as we challenge the issues from the 10-year strategy that we should put together. The theme of the conference that we have proposed is resilience, prosperity, and we intend to bring that alive not only over the 4 days, but also throughout the work that is being developed in putting together a strategy that will take us to resilient prosperity as small island states. I think that kind of gives you a brief introduction on where we are, what we are expecting, and what we are hoping as small islands. And I look forward to speaking to you as we have these meetings as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Webson, and also ambassadors of New Zealand and Maldives for taking time to be with us and sharing your views and vision. We understand that some of you have to attend another very important meeting that's going to be taking place in the UN General Assembly in just a few moments, and that you would need to leave us now. We will make sure to channel any specific questions to your offices as appropriate. So thank you again. Thank you. So let us go through a brief overview of the SIDS4 Conference. As we have heard this morning, the 4th International Conference on Small Island Developing States, or SIDS4, will be held from 27 to 30 May next year in St. John's in Antigua and Barbuda, over the overarching theme of charting the course toward resilient prosperity. We have already a conference website. The URL is reflected on the screen in front of you. And please visit this website for detailed information, and it will also be updated regularly to reflect the latest. Next slide, please. As we have heard, the conference will result in an intergovernmental agreed, focused, forward-looking, and importantly, an action-oriented political outcome document that will be negotiated here in New York during the 2 sessions of the preparatory committee that are spearheaded by New Zealand and Maldives. And those sessions will be held at the end of January, the last week of January, and the first week in April. We are expecting participation from stakeholders throughout these preparatory committee meetings, and we will keep you posted, informed on ways that you can participate. Next slide, please. The conference itself in Antigua and Barbuda will feature a total of 8 formal plenary meetings, during which UN member states, UN system, and stakeholders will be able to present their formal statements relating to the conference. In addition, there will be 5 formal interactive dialogues that are expected to be collaborative, multi-stakeholder, in nature, also with gender and geographical balance. And these 5 interactive dialogues will focus on new and emerging challenges, as well as existing challenges for SIDS. The themes of these 5 interactive dialogues are currently being finalized by the Bureau, and we will be sharing those shortly, including with you all. And then we will begin the preparations for those 5 interactive dialogues in earnest. In addition, there will also be a number of side events held in connection with the conference by both governments, UN system, and stakeholders. And we will be opening a call for side events a bit later on, and sharing information about this through our emails, on the website, etc. So please keep an eye out for that call. In addition, there will be a number of stakeholder-specific special events that are spearheaded by the host country. And the focus and topics of those events is still being shaped, and more information will be shared with you in due course. Next slide, please. As we heard from the ambassadors, there were a number of regional preparatory meetings that were held in July and August this year to prepare substantively for this conference. Please visit the conference website for more details, including the outcome documents of all of these events. Next slide, please. These regional preparatory meetings have identified a number of key areas where we expect the outcome document of the conference to focus on. And these are all reflected on this screen. And again, please visit the website for more details. With these remarks on this screen, again, we will now move to hearing from our colleagues, Nayara Costa and Catherine Good, about the special process for accreditation of NGOs and other relevant stakeholders for the conference, who will walk us through this process and what this entails. So let me hand the floor to Nayara and Catherine.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lotta, and good morning, good afternoon, good day to all the participants of the webinar. I'll be joining by my colleague, Catherine, and we will go with you through some of the opportunities for stakeholders participation during the conference, the SIDS4 Conference. So the next slide. So the engagement of stakeholders will be organized in two main work streams. One is raising awareness and information sharing with stakeholders about the conference, the preparatory process, and all, and we will be using multiple channels to do so. And the second one is focusing on creating and providing opportunities for stakeholders to engage and contribute to the intergovernmental process and to the conference itself. The next one, please. On awareness raising, I want to call your attention that we have established a mailing list that is targeting stakeholders, and we will be using that mailing list to share regular updates, communication, and opportunities. I'll be posting the links very soon on the chat box, so you can connect, sign up, and be up to date with information. We already have a dedicated page for stakeholders on the conference webpage, and we'll be updating it regularly, and you can already find some information there about what has been done and opportunities for stakeholder engagements. As the process advances in the preparation for the conference, we will be convening virtual meetings. We will have newsletters, and also, this webinar is one of those opportunities to engage with the stakeholders. And also, I invite you to take a look at our social media channels, UNDESA, OHRLS, as we will also be using those to promote the conference and stakeholder participation opportunities. This, on the second point about creating space for stakeholders participation, we, as was mentioned by the co-chairs, and also Lotta mentioned, we'll be identifying opportunities for stakeholders to engage in the intergovernmental process. We will be organizing additional online consultations as needed and as it becomes relevant for the substantive process. And we are carrying out a special accreditation process that my colleague Catherine is leading, and she will be talking about it in a bit. And we will also, as Lotta mentioned, be mobilizing sectors through a number of special events that are spearheaded by the co-hosts, the host. And again, stakeholders will also be able to organize side events during the conference itself. The second one, another point for all stakeholders to be mindful, there will be registration processes for the preparatory committee meetings and for the conference itself. whenever there will be some speaking slots during the conference, during the plenary interactive dialogue. So the Secretariat will be facilitating this and communicating with you as well. And we are also foreseeing that we'll be collecting written statements from accredited organizations in connection with the conference. All those details, they will be communicated with accredited organizations and through the mailing list as they become available. This slide is really just the consultation was mentioned by the co-chair, by Maldives. And this was the first round of substantive inputs from stakeholders that was conducted before the regional and interregional meetings. I invite you to review, to take a look, and we will be organizing additional consultations as the process unfolds. Now, the question is, who can attend the conference, the SIDS conference? So I strongly recommend and ask you to go check the webpage and see if your organization is under any of those, the list of organizations that can attend or are considered accredited to attend the conference. So first, organizations in consultative status with ECOSOC, you are accredited, you just need to register for the conference. Organizations that were accredited to the previous SIDS conferences, also you will be able to register directly for the conference. If you are unsure, if you don't know, please go to the webpage, double check, click on the lists, check for the name of your organization. If you don't find the name of your organization in any of those lists and you're interested in attending the conference, in bringing a delegation to the conference, you will need to go to the process called special accreditation, which is conducted, it is facilitated by the Secretariat, but it is a decision of the preparatory committee and the General Assembly. So again, now is the time that I'll give the floor to my colleague, Catherine. She will talk more about the special accreditation process for the conference. Catherine, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nayara. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. As everyone has already explained, only organizations that are accredited will be able to participate in the preparatory meetings in New York and in the conference itself. So our job in NGLS is to help all of you who are not already accredited in some way to seek that accreditation. And that decision will be taken by the member states, as Nayara said, at the January preparatory meeting. So the process is open now. We are using Indico as the platform to collect applications. And you can follow the link here to the event. We recommend that only one person from any organization submit the application, and then we can walk through the documents that are needed. This is particularly relevant for private sector, academic institutions, as you've heard. We want a lot of data specialists able to support the small island developing states and the conference, and of course the NGOs and civil society organizations and youth-led organizations that are working directly on topics related to the conference. So the documents that are required are listed on the Indico website, and there are templates there available to help you with your application. But again, it's the purpose of the organization and an expression of interest. Why are you a relevant organization? Why do you want to participate in the conference? Then we need the proof of legal status that you exist as an organization in the member state where you're headquartered, a copy of the Constitution or the bylaws of the organization, a copy of the annual report telling us what you've been doing, how that's relevant to the topic of the conference, and the financial information related to your organization. We're looking for examples of the relevant work and information on whether or not your organization works at the national, regional, or international level. For the board, we're looking for the list of board members and their nationalities, the countries that they come from. and a description of membership of the organization, including the total number of members. So if this is an association, you may have a number of sub-organizations that are part of your association, and that's where you would list that. If none, you'll just inform us that it's not that type of a membership organization. And those documents should all be submitted, we hope today, but by the 10th of November at the latest. We're happy to answer any questions if you put them in the Q&A, and I'll pass back to Nayara.
Thank you so much. Catherine, we couldn't see you. I don't know if the camera was off, just in case you can open.
Sorry.
And colleagues, as Catherine was saying, we really are here to emphasize how important this process is. If you know of other CSOs that might be interested in attending the conference, this is a crucial step to do to get the special accreditation. So you can register your delegation, your participants, and then be there at the conference. As Catherine mentioned, the decision relies on member states. So Catherine and her team, they receive the applications, they review, they check if all the documentation is good, and they submit to member states for their decision. We expect that we'll have a decision by late January or early February. It's still, again, it's on the hands of member states, so we will follow the procedures as they, based on the intergovernmental process. And then you really need this accreditation to register your participants. And there will be only one round of special accreditation. And again, as Catherine was saying, do not wait for the last day. There are a lot of documents that you will need to request special accreditation. So please check the documents, see if you have. If you don't have, or if you have any questions, you can email Catherine and her team. And Catherine, maybe you could type the NGLS email so colleagues, if they have specific questions, they can reach out to you.
I will, thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. So colleagues, we are going to the Q&A aspects of for this webinar. We have more than 200 colleagues on the call. So I would advise and invite you please to go to the Q&A. We have a number of questions that are listed over there. We will be going through the ones that I see colleagues are mentioning as more relevant. Questions that are targeting the more substantive aspects of the conference, we will be sharing those with our colleagues that are managing the substantive process. And we will be working with them. And when we have more, like today, we are focusing a lot on the process and the process for the conference itself. So we will be revisiting those in next opportunities. And Catherine, I'm going to go through the questions and I'll be bringing you in. If there is any additional thing, please feel free to just unmute and come and lock that on my side. I see a question here about the accreditation for delegations. If it's delegations member states, if you are national government, the registration for delegations, usually they start closer to the conference, so I would expect it early next year. Information will be shared with the missions here in New York. So if you are based in New York, you already probably know how to reach out to the UN protocol. If not, I really recommend that you reach out to the mission here in New York, because they will also be able to guide you on those processes. So so I see, I mean, all sectors, when we craft this, the participation, and I'm seeing a question specifically about OPDs here. Colleagues, we will be opening spaces and opportunities that focus on all groups and all stakeholders. However, if specific groups or if groups self-organize as well or have position papers, we are happy to circulate them with to the co-chairs of the Bureau. There is an interesting question if stakeholders can participate in the conference online. All the official procedures of the conference will be webcast. So even if you are not attending the conference, you'll be able to follow the discussions virtually. And we will be making efforts to compile inputs from stakeholders in written format from accredited organizations. So even if you're unable to be there, you will be able to submit your written inputs closer to the conference. I see some questions that are specific to some NGOs. We will be sharing an email for questions. If you have the specifics, we cannot, so we can address and check the specific cases in a bilateral way. There is a question here, if all the presentations, if they will be shared, yes. This meeting is being live streamed. And we will be uploading the recording and we will be uploading the presentations to the webinar link that you received, but we will be sharing more and updating the information there. I see there is a question about the form. We're gonna check this form and adjust as needed. Sorry, I'm gonna go through. There is an interesting question. Catherine, I'll hand this one for you. There is a question here. If there is a cap on the number of organizations that are approved on, for special accreditation, and how likely it is for a qualified org to be approved? Catherine, could you take this one, please?
Sure, thank you. And apologies, I don't know why my camera was working earlier, but now I'm just hiding in the dark. So there is no cap on the number of organizations that will be approved. So assuming that you submit all of the documents that are required, and assuming that the member states approve your application for accreditation, and as I said, that will be done in January, then those organizations will be accredited. It is a member state decision, and so we will inform those organizations that have been accredited. It is possible later that we will be setting a cap for the number of individuals who are able to participate in the preparatory meeting or the conference based on capacity of the venue, but that is not a restriction that is placed on organizations applying for accreditation. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Catherine. Yeah, this is a very, very important question. There is a question about youth participation. Yes, we are expecting youth to be there. This is also a priority sector for host countries. It was also very visible in the online stakeholder consultation. Youth organizations, we are really encouraging you to request special accreditation and also self-coordinate to be visible as well during the conference. I understand the host is also interested in encouraging member states to bring youth as part of their national delegations to the conference. So this is also something we should reach out to your country, to the national delegation of your country, so you can engage with them and their plans for the conference itself. There is another question here that I think taps into what Catherine was saying, how many individuals each organization can bring to the conference. As Catherine was saying, it will depend on the number of organizations accredited, the venue. This will be defined at a later stage, but it will be communicated to you. But usually a cap is set for stakeholder registrations based mainly due to the capacity of the venue itself. Yeah, I see a question for stakeholders from academia. Again, you are also welcome. Please check the guidance for special accreditation. And we are really looking forward for your participation again. If you have questions, I see questions here about ground passes for ECOSOC organizations in ECOSOC status, in consultative status with ECOSOC. You should follow up directly with the NGO branch in UNDESA because they will be the best colleagues to support you. Side events, there is a good question here. Who can organize side events? So accredited organizations will be able to apply for the organization of side events. Again, usually we receive a bigger number of requests than we can accommodate. So if you are considering a side event, please start planning, start partnering, start finding your partners so you can bring a very solid proposal that can be considered. Another very interesting question here, if individuals, freelancers, if they can attend the conference. Unfortunately, as an individual, you cannot. You must be connected to an accredited organization or institution in order to attend the conference. If you are unable to do so, you will be able to check and follow the procedures through the webcast. I see one question here. If your organization is in consultative status with ECOSOC, if you need to do anything, yes. Once there is the registration for the preparatory committees and the conference opens, you must register your delegation. Please don't forget that you will need to register every single individual of your delegation in order for them to attend the conference. But we will be giving those details when the registrations open. So I think all individual NGOs, they need to apply for accreditation in order they can attend the conference. I see a question about major groups. Major groups, they also need to be connected with an accredited organization in order to register their delegations. If you are a member of one major group and if you are interested in the SIDS conference, please liaise with your focal point or organizing partner, and they will be able to reach out to us, and as we'll be working with them on their participation as well. So, okay, I'm seeing a question here for intergovernmental organizations. Oh, it's great to have our colleagues from Intergov with us. If you work for an intergovernmental organization, your process is different. Information about intergovernmental organizations and those details will be published on the website, including the colleagues that will be responsible for supporting your registration. There is a list of intergovernmental organizations that are considered as accredited. You don't mention your organization here, but you need to check. And then please double check if your organization is accredited. If it's not, there might be a process for accreditation of intergovernmental organizations. It's led by another department, and they will be providing this information on the website as well. Catherine, please jump in if there is anything else you want to add, including on this one.
No, thank you. I just referred people back to the resolution, which lists out the accreditation intergovernmental organizations if they were accredited to previous conferences or to the GA. Thanks.
Sorry, Nayara, you were actually muted, so we couldn't hear you.
I see another question from organizations in consultative status with ECOSOC. If you work, if you belong to an organization with ECOSOC status, you do not need to apply for special accreditation. You are already accredited. You will need to register your participants when the time comes. Colleagues, I think, yeah, I see several, I mean, I think we have addressed the main questions here, the main questions from this. And we will be, we'll keep checking the chat box, and we'll be reverting with you. We will be adjusting the FAQ as well that we have in our webpage, also based on the questions that we are receiving from you. And in the interest of time, maybe I'll pass it over to Lotta so we can close the webinar. Thank you so much, and thank you so much, Catherine.
Colleagues, thank you so much for joining today's online webinar on the SIDS4 conference. Again, you have received quite a lot of information today, so please rest assured that we will be making available the recording of today's session and the PowerPoint presentation with all of you. And as Nayara mentioned, we will be updating the so-called frequently asked questions, that document which is posted on the stakeholder tab on the conference website to reflect some of the questions also that you have posed today and that we may have not adequately addressed so far. We really look forward to keeping all of you engaged as we move through the preparatory process and towards the conference itself. So please make sure that you have signed up to receive the news emails. I believe the sign-up form is available on the conference website, and my colleagues can also put it in the chat box. This is a very good way for you to receive targeted information about the conference. Please do not miss the deadline for seeking special accreditation. If your organization requires special accreditation, this is an important deadline, and as colleagues have mentioned, please work on this application now, because it will take time for you to provide all the information that is needed. Again, thank you very much. It has been a productive call, and we wish you a very good rest of the day. And we will be convening additional webinars when the opportunity arises to keep you posted on the latest developments. Thank you very much, and we wish you a very good day. Bye-bye.